12:37 a.m., Typhoon Podul made its second landfall in the coastal city of Zhangzhou, Fujian Province, in southeastern China during the early hours of Thursday morning. According to meteorological data, Podul entered with sustained winds exceeding 100 km/h, approximately 62 mm, accompanied by heavy rainfall and violent sea waves. Although Podul had been downgraded from a strong typhoon to a severe tropical storm before reaching Fujian, the system still retained enough strength to disrupt daily life across a wide area in southern China. Chinese meteorological agencies confirmed that Podul initially weakened while passing over the South China Sea, but later regained strength upon entering the Taiwan Strait. The second landfall occurred in Zhangzhou at dawn on August 14th, when rising waves and heavy rain quickly spread inland. By midday, the storm began to weaken, gradually turning into a tropical depression. Even as the wind subsided, Podul carried a very large amount of moisture, keeping the risk of flooding high. Weather forecasters noted that Podul was part of a larger monsoon pattern this season, which had caused several consecutive heavy rainfall events in southern Chinese provinces. Accumulated rainfall in some areas of Fujian, Guangdong, and Guangxi was expected to exceed 150 mm, nearly 6 inches, within less than 24 hours, putting pressure on local drainage systems and river networks. Fujian, Guangdong, Guangxi, Hunan, and Guizhou provinces all reported varying degrees of impact. Coastal towns in Fujian saw low-lying streets submerged, and emergency rescue forces were deployed to reinforce levees and drainage systems. In Guangdong and Guangxi, authorities warned mountain communities about the risk of landslides, especially after several consecutive weeks of heavy rain. Inland provinces like Hunan and Guizhou also experienced widespread heavy rainfall, disrupting agriculture and threatening crops already weakened by previous storms. Rural residents were advised to secure livestock and avoid going to the fields until weather conditions improved. Podul also had a significant impact on transportation networks. Over 130 flights were canceled, including major airlines such as China Eastern Airlines, China Southern Airlines, and Air China. Passengers at airports in Fujian and Guangdong reported long delays and crowded terminals as airlines adjusted schedules. Rail services were also affected. Some high-speed rail sections in Fujian and neighboring provinces temporarily reduced operational speed to ensure safety and manage water on the tracks. Highway traffic slowed considerably, with authorities warning about dangerous driving conditions due to poor visibility and flooded roads. Local governments in Fujian and Hong Kong announced school closures in response to the heavy rainfall. This measure aimed to ensure student safety and reduce travel during hazardous weather conditions. Public events, including international conference and large meetings, were postponed or shifted online. Emergency shelters were opened in Fujian, Guangdong, and Guangxi to accommodate residents living in flooded areas. Local authorities also distributed bottled water, food supplies, and medical kits to prepare for possible prolonged disruptions. In Hong Kong, the Meteorological Service issued warnings for heavy rainfall and strong winds. Schools, offices, and public facilities were temporarily closed, while transport operators reported delays due to water accumulation on main roads and railways. The city's international airport implemented emergency procedures to handle flight cancellations and passenger congestion. Authorities warned that communities near hillsides and rivers were at highest risk, advising residents to stay indoors and avoid unnecessary travel. Public messages emphasized caution. Although the storm was weakening, the threat of landslides and flash floods remained high. By the end of Thursday, Podul had weakened into a tropical depression as it moved further inland in China. Meteorologists confirmed that wind speeds had decreased, but rainfall continued to increase. River systems in Fujian and Guangdong were close to maximum capacity, with officials closely monitoring water levels to prevent overflow. Local disaster management teams emphasized that significant danger often arises after strong winds have passed. When heavy rain persists and the ground is saturated, the risk of secondary disasters such as landslides rises, especially in Hunan and Guizhou. Riverside villages prepared sandbags and temporary barriers to mitigate flooding. The Chinese government urged provincial leaders to maintain a high state of readiness until the storm system fully dissipated. Emergency response units were deployed to vulnerable areas, and the Ministry of Transport advised the public to avoid unnecessary travel until weather conditions stabilized. Meteorological agencies reminded residents that Podul served as an important warning about preparedness during the Pacific typhoon season and advised closely monitoring forecasts, as additional storms could appear in the coming weeks. The second landfall of Typhoon Podul in Zhangzhou, Fujian, brought strong winds, heavy rain, and significant disruption across southern China. Although the storm has now weakened into a tropical depression, its lingering effects remain, including the risk of flooding, transportation disruption, and school closures. Fujian, Guangdong, Guangxi, Hunan, and Guizhou provinces remain on high alert as local authorities address the aftermath. With over 130 flights canceled, numerous schools closed, and emergency shelters established, Podul's impact has extended across both coastal and inland areas. Authorities emphasize that while the direct wind threat has diminished, the dangers of flooding and landslides remain high, and residents are advised to stay vigilant, follow guidance, and prioritize safety until conditions fully improve.
The world changing, disasters are no longer rare, they are reality. You cannot predict the next earthquake, flood, or wildfire, but you can choose how ready you are. This channel isn't just here to inform, it's here to wake people up before it's too late. So if you're watching this now, take it as a sign. Don't just scroll, don't just watch, subscribe, learn, and prepare, because awareness isn't fear, it's power.
On July 20th, 2025, Typhoon Haifa struck Hong Kong, bringing widespread devastation. By morning, the city had issued the highest level storm warning, signal number 10. The storm's center passed about 50 kilometers south of Hong Kong, with wind gusts reaching up to 167 kilometers. In some areas, sustained winds were recorded at 140 kilometers. Within just 3 hours, more than 110 millimeters of rainfall poured over northern districts, exacerbating the situation. Signal number 10 remained in effect for nearly 7 hours before being downgraded to signal number 8 and later to number 3 by evening. The typhoon caused significant damage across the city. It uprooted 471 trees and triggered over 450 reports of fallen trees. The hospitals treated 26 injured individuals, and more than 250 people sought shelter in emergency facilities. Power outages affected several districts due to downed power lines, and public transportation came to a halt, causing major disruptions. around 400 flights were canceled or delayed, impacting nearly 80,000 passengers. Cathay Pacific suspended all flights from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. and refunded tickets. Ferry and bus services were halted until conditions improved, and the MTR subway system faced delays. Hong Kong Disneyland and other attractions were shut for the day, and all schools were closed. In North Point, scaffolding was blown down by the fierce winds, while in Tsim Sha Tsui, street signs and canopies were ripped off by the storm. Streets were blocked by debris in various districts, and low-lying areas saw basement flooding. Drivers had to take detours due to fallen trees, while cleanup teams began working even before the storm fully passed. Some neighborhoods reported electrical fires due to short circuits, which firefighters quickly extinguished. Government shelters prioritized elderly citizens and families with children, while tourists became stranded at hotels and airports. The mobile phone network temporarily lost power, and location services were disrupted during the peak of the storm. Victoria Harbor's promenade was closed to the public, and despite police warnings, many bloggers and photographers attempted to capture the storm. The police urged people to avoid coastal areas, as the heavy winds and rain began to subside by evening. However, light showers continued into the night. The Hong Kong Observatory reported that Typhoon Wi-Fi was moving westward toward Guangdong Province in mainland China, bringing with it more heavy rainfall and strong winds. No fatalities were reported in Hong Kong, but dozens of people were injured, mostly from falling debris and shattered glass. Emergency rooms remained on high alert throughout the day, and streets were littered with fallen branches and broken signage. Cleanup efforts resumed early on July 21st, and Hong Kong International Airport began preparing for over 230 flights scheduled for the following day. Initial estimates suggest that the damage to infrastructure amounts to millions of Hong Kong dollars. Analysts compared the impact of Typhoon Wi-Fi to previous storms such as Typhoon Saola in 2023 and Typhoon Mangkhut in 2018. While the damage was less severe than previous storms, social media was flooded with images and videos of the destruction. The government has pledged financial support and swift recovery efforts. Damage assessments for buildings and power outages are underway. Meteorologists have warned of potential future storms as the typhoon season continues. Experts advise residents to prepare emergency supplies in anticipation of further storms. While the situation is gradually stabilizing, it will take several days to fully recover from the aftermath of Typhoon Wi-Fi, which continues to move north toward Vietnam, with heavy rain still threatening southern China. The Hong Kong Observatory reported that the powerful winds of Typhoon Wi-Fi are expected to come very close to Hong Kong, with the storm's center predicted to pass about 50 kilometers south of the city around midday. The adverse weather warning will continue throughout the day, with heavy showers, thunderstorms, and strong gusts of wind. The observatory mentioned that Wi-Fi intensified from a severe tropical storm to a major typhoon just before midnight on July 19th. Frequent heavy rain and thunderstorms will occur across the region, accompanied by rough seas and large waves. The Hong Kong Observatory forecasted over 500 flights scheduled for the weekend in Hong Kong were canceled, while most public transport services were suspended and many major events were postponed. The Hong Kong Weather Bureau warned that under the influence of Typhoon Wi-Fi, Flooding could occur in low-lying coastal areas on the morning of July 20th. In a related incident, a speedboat caught fire in the typhoon shelter at Causeway Bay, Hong Kong, on the morning of July 20th. The fire quickly spread to two nearby boats. The Marine Police and Fire Department acted swiftly, rescuing 3 men and 2 women. The incident occurred during the heavy rains and strong winds caused by Typhoon Wifa. On mainland China, the National Observatory of China issued a yellow warning for Typhoon Wifa on July 19th, predicting strong winds and heavy rain to affect the southern coastal regions of China, according to Xinhua News Agency. The yellow warning is based on a 4-level scale, with red being the most severe, followed by orange, yellow, and blue. According to the Hainan Meteorological Agency, Typhoon Wifa is expected to make landfall in Hainan between the afternoon and evening of July 20th. Due to the storm's impact, from July 19 to 22, much of the sea and land areas of Hainan are forecasted to experience heavy rainfall and strong winds. Additionally, the Zhangzhou Strait, which links Guangdong and Hainan provinces, may suspend sea transport operations from July 20th to 22.
The world changing, disasters are no longer rare, they are reality. You cannot predict the next earthquake, flood, or wildfire, but you can choose how ready you are. This channel isn't just here to inform, it's here to wake people up before it's too late. So if you're watching this now, take it as a sign. Don't just scroll, don't just watch. Subscribe, learn, and prepare, because awareness isn't fear, it's power.